Yamuna Tiravanachari Jamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charan Aravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinata Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories unto the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. Our text for today is 428. But just so that nobody is feeling lost, we'll try to give a little context. Yeah? Chapter 4 is called Transcendental Knowledge. And let me just try to give some kind of an overview using my good old notes, my trusted notes. Okay. So, in this chapter, for the first 10 verses, Lord Krishna gives transcendental knowledge about himself. Yes? In text 30 of the previous chapter, to perform the highest level of karma yoga, which means surrendering all of one's works unto Krishna, one must know who Krishna is. Yes? So if you're actually going to be able to perform your work, dedicating it for the Lord, then it would really help if you know something about the Lord, who He is, and why you would want to dedicate your work to Him. So Krishna is the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who comes to the world to protect eternal Dharma. One who knows this is factually liberated. Yes. So that's established in the first 10 verses of the 4th chapter. The Lord says that whenever there is a decline in religion and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend. Yeah, and I come here to protect my devotees and to annihilate the miscreants, those who are opposed to me. Because those who are opposed to the Lord, opposed to God, they tend to create hell on earth. They create a difficult situation for everybody on earth. And therefore, Krishna comes to relieve the burden of the world. Bhu Bhara. He comes to relieve the earth's burden. And in doing so, he also gives pleasure to his devotees. Okay. Let me just adjust the mic, sorry. Okay, then, from text 11 to 15, Krishna elaborates on how he is the ultimate goal of knowledge, continuing to explain his supreme position. And here he explains that actions are spiritual, they're transcendental, when they're executed in full knowledge of Krishna. Knowledge of Krishna as the supreme goal of all paths, and he who awards the results of all work. So we might wonder, how can my work and everything that I do in my day-to-day life, how can it be dedicated to Krishna? How can it become karma yoga? Well, first of all, we have to know something about Krishna so that we're inspired to offer our work and the results to Him. Yeah? And then we also need to understand how Krishna is the goal of every activity, the goal of all paths. Yeah? The goal of karma, the goal of jnana, the goal of mystic yoga. The ultimate goal of all of these paths is Krishna. Actually, the complete path is described as Bhakti Yoga. That's the complete path. And the Bhakti Yoga path culminates in, what do you think? What do you think Bhakti Yoga path results in? Where's the destination? You didn't think there would be any questions till the end, but I'm bringing you questions now. Moksha? Okay. And what does moksha look like? Pardon? Oh, good, yes. Real liberation means situated in your svarup. Means to know who I am, what is my relationship specifically with Krishna. Am I Krishna's intimate servant? Am I his friend as an equal? Do I have a parental relationship with him? Do I consider him like my child? Or am I Krishna's lover? What is my relationship with Krishna? So that is the goal of yoga. And therefore it's called Bhakti Yoga, because you cannot have a relationship with someone, really, an eternal relationship especially, unless you love them. And the love of Krishna is existing in everybody's heart. It's already there. It just has to be woken, just has to be revived. So the path is Bhakti Yoga. And every other so-called path is simply a step in that direction. Right? Okay. And the Lord is the ultimate goal of that bhakti yoga path. In the beginning, we may perform karma and make it karma yoga by connecting it to Krishna, by sacrificing some results of our work, or by dedicating the work itself for Krishna's pleasure. Both. That sacrifice will culminate in greater knowledge. As we get more and more knowledge, we may be more inclined to hearing about, studying the nature of the Lord, understanding Him from the position of contemplation or analysis. Yeah. So we might spend more time in study when we're more interested in Krishna. Yes. When that knowledge increases to the point of meditation, where we're always thinking about Krishna, contemplating Him, meditating on His name, form, qualities, pastimes, absorption, then you can say it is dhyana, or yes. The purpose of the Ashtanga yoga system is to see the supersoul within one's heart. So when knowledge of Krishna culminates in meditation on Krishna and seeing Him within your heart, then you have reached the culmination of the Ashtanga yoga system. But you're not there all the way yet. You haven't completed the path. Because next is you want to not just meet the supersoul in your heart, but you actually want to meet the origin of the supersoul. You want to meet Sri Krishna as He is, the personality of Godhead, face to face. And that will require complete love, complete bhakti, prema bhakti. So between sacrificing the results of your work, trying not to be selfish and dedicating them to God, to increasing knowledge about who the Lord is, to meditating upon Him, realizing His presence everywhere, and ultimately meeting Him face to face and having a direct loving relationship with Him, this describes the path of bhakti. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, and Ashtanga yoga, they are but steps on that path, phases of that path. Okay, then, from text 16 to 24, after explaining Krishna's own transcendental position, the Lord describes how to perform activities on the transcendental plane. It is necessary to explain this because of the common misconception that all work is material and spiritual life is limited to stereotypical renunciation. Right? A lot of people think like this, don't they? Huh? Spiritual life means you just drop everything and go live in the temple, or disappear into the forest, or walk up the mountain never to return. No, that's not spiritual life. All work is not material. Not necessarily so. It is possible to perform spiritual work. So the misconception that all work is material is brought about because practically all work in the world is initiated by selfish desire, which brings karmic reaction. So practically everybody in this material world is working for their own purpose. I want to get something. I want to be something in order to get something. Yeah, I want to have certain things in order to feel a certain way. Generally, it is centered around my own particular sense of happiness and pleasure. And therefore, whatever is acceptable to me for my own pleasure, I want it. And whatever does not increase my pleasure or add to my own personal satisfaction, then I want to avoid it. Everything is about me, me, me. I, me, and mine. And then the work we do for that purpose, naturally it's selfish. And that kind of work brings karmic reaction. Because if I want the results for myself, then I also have to pay the bill. So whatever the consequences of my work are, I must face them, now or in the future, in this life or another life. But the bill has to be paid. if I want to enjoy the work and any of the benefits of the work. Because in the course of performing my own selfish activities and satisfying my own selfish desires, then there's a good chance I will encroach upon somebody else's right, or I will take advantage or I will be taking advantage of someone else's energy, and I will owe them something at some point. It has to be paid, must be paid. Okay, so this is karma. By introducing Bhakti Yoga, Krishna delineates a method of action that is free from selfishness. Right? This is such a relief. Acting in Bhakti Yoga, one remains uninfluenced by karmic reaction. Okay, so material work produces material reactions. Well, we don't want that, because that means I will suffer. So children, Haribol, children, Hare Krishna. You can hear me? You understand my language? You understand English? Yeah? English? No English? Okay. So you have to hear. We come to the temple to hear. So you have to hear. Yeah? You try to hear. So Bhakti Yoga is that process that allows us to perform spiritual action. Otherwise, it's all material action. And material action equals suffering. But it's really hard to give up. How am I supposed to stop acting? I have to act. So what kind of actions can I perform that won't result in suffering? So Krishna is giving that. Bhakti Yoga. Those are the actions that you can do that will not entail your suffering. That will eliminate all suffering. Okay. Then, from text 25 to 33. And then today's verse we'll deal with now, because that's number 28. Having explained that sacrifice uncovers Brahman, or the absolute truth, Krishna now lists different types of sacrifice. Okay, so we have to be quiet, otherwise, we can play and talk outside. I don't mind, right, because I get to talk. I can hear myself very well. But other people who are trying to hear the class may be disturbed. It's okay. At 7 o'clock we have Arti. 7, yeah, okay, good. So sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. Okay, acting in pure devotional service is called akarma. We have karma, material action. Akarma means no reaction. This is because karmic reaction is a result of fruitive consciousness and not of activity itself. So if my consciousness is selfish or fruitive, right, I want to enjoy the results, I want to enjoy the fruits, then I have to get the reaction, the karma. But if my action is for the benefit of the Lord, who is the ultimate beneficiary, he's supposed to be the beneficiary. Why? Because everything belongs to him. He says in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yagitabasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He says, I am the supreme, and I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices, austerities, and I am the possessor of all places, all planets. So everything belongs to Krishna. He owns it, so naturally it should be for him to enjoy. He should be the beneficiary of all action and all elements. Everything is meant for his pleasure, his enjoyment. And he's the best friend of every living entity. So if we start working, acting, living for his sake, then our activity produces no material reaction, no karma. Because our consciousness is to please God. Our consciousness is to serve God, to honor God. And we can do that even in our daily occupational duties. And there will be no karmic reaction because I'm not working for me. I'm working for Krishna. This is to satisfy him. Okay. So to learn the art of proper activity and to distinguish it from improper action, one must follow those who have mastered the art themselves. One cannot concoct a method to achieve liberation from karma. Right? We have to follow authorities. So this is the great art of work. I can work in the world, I can act in the world, and actually all of my work is akarma, or what Krishna describes as inaction in action. Even though I'm acting, even though I'm very busy, right, I'm coaching the kids on the tennis court, my activity is actually inaction, which means it's not material action, it's spiritual action. Okay? And in the same way, one could try to avoid all material karma, disappear up the mountain, and apparently be inactive, but they're very much materially active, even just by sitting and breathing, because they're doing it for their own selfish purpose. That is action in inaction. You think you're not doing anything, but you're actually wasting your energy on a selfish purpose. So naturally you'll get a material result. Okay. Arjuna had the idea that he could free himself from sinful reaction by refraining from activity. Yeah? I don't want to get involved in this war. I don't want to be responsible, and I don't want to accept the consequences. I don't want to have this come back at me. So I'm not going to get involved here. This is a really bad idea. This is what he thought. And I will avoid all of the sinful reactions by leaving this place. Yeah? But because his desire to refrain from activity was based heavily on fruitive desire and material attachment to family, therefore his inactivity would actually bring about karmic reaction. Because what was his purpose? He wanted to leave the battlefield not to please Krishna, but to please himself. Right? I don't want to fight with my family. I see so many future disasters as a result of this war. He's considering himself and his extended self. His extended self means family members and the rest of human society. He didn't consider the ultimate extension of his self, or rather the source of his self. That's the point he was missing. Yeah? We're very much concerned with me and what I consider to be mine. And I will act for the benefit of those people. And by doing that, we are completely missing the center. The center is Krishna, the source of all selves, the self of all selves, the soul of all souls. If I think about what is in Krishna's interest, and I act for that, then I'm really taking care of my self-interest. So Arjuna thought that by avoiding the war, he would avoid karmic reaction. But actually he got it backward. By the very act of avoiding the war, he was creating karma, because avoiding the war was selfish. Okay. So karma is a reaction to material consciousness, not just the activity. One can live freely and confidently by acting in awareness of his eternal servitorship to the Lord. That is the way to transcendental action. Transcendental knowledge is like a fire that permeates one's activities and burns their reactions to ash. So whatever I'm doing, that activity should be infused with transcendental knowledge of Krishna and my relationship with him. Krishna describes the characteristics of one who works in transcendental knowledge. The main characteristic is that his actions are not impelled by desires for sense gratification. Right? He's not acting to get something for his immediate bodily senses. That's not why he's doing it. Other symptoms of a person who's acting spiritually, what are they? He's detached from the fruits of his work. Whether he gets a lot or a little, it doesn't concern him or her. He's simply satisfied with the service, with the work itself. Right? He's self-satisfied. In other words, satisfied in the position of working for Krishna, taking satisfaction in the soul. He's self-controlled. He desires only necessities of life to keep body and soul together. He's free from the concept of proprietorship. He knows that everything in the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Ishavasya sarvam yatkancha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magara kasya sivadanam. Right? Not trying to take from anybody else and not thinking himself to be the possessor of everything in his world. So if I know that, my coat doesn't really belong to me, it's a gift from the Lord for, keeping me warm and so that I can actually prosecute my devotional service and I don't have to be disturbed by the cold, right? And then if that coat is taken away, I don't have to be bent out of shape about it, right? Krishna can help me to get another coat, but it's not my coat. Everything belongs to God. Okay, he's free from the delusion of duality. In the material world, we're very much affected by the ups and the downs, the changing of the seasons, the happiness and the distress, the pleasure and the pain. But these are simply external to my real self. These are impositions on my body and my mind, but I am not my body or my mind. So one who is transcendentally situated tolerates the heat and the cold, the advantages and the disadvantages, the good and the bad, the gain and the loss. He just sees it coming and going, and he doesn't identify with either the positive or the negative. For himself, he doesn't, if he gets something of great value, right, he doesn't consider, this is for me, it's made my day. And if he loses something, he's not crying, oh, look what I've lost because he's not thinking about his personal enjoyment. He's thinking about how to please Krishna. And if he gains or loses something, that does not affect Krishna's enjoyment. His service can go on unimpeded. He's simply concerned how I can perform my service for Krishna to the best of my ability. And for that purpose, he is prepared to do his best and to use everything in his or her sphere. Okay, he or she is also free from envy, right? Knowing that everybody gets the results of their own work. If they get something good, hey, they deserve it. They must have done something nice in the past so that they're getting such a great result now. He's not envious of anybody because he knows that Krishna and Krishna's material energy is fair. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshmananama, Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai. He knows that it's all fair, it's a perfect arrangement, and everybody gets what is due to them. And therefore he's steady in both success and failure. Because success and failure aren't important for oneself. What is important is that I try for success to please Krishna. Yeah? And if I don't get the success, that's Krishna's business. Because he is the controller of the result. He is the giver of the result. So my responsibility is to try my best in my service. Whatever service that is, whatever situation I may be in, whatever my duty is in my work, in my relationships, right? Whatever my duty is is to do my best at my duty. And I can't really control whether the outcome will be, the fantasy that I imagine. I can't control that it will be the absolute best outcome that I wish for. It might be a great outcome, and it might not be a great outcome. But whatever the outcome, I'm steady in my work, because success or failure don't faze me. They don't derail me. I don't get completely discouraged if there's failure. And I'm not overwhelmed with success either, such that I can't continue. Some people get a lot of success and immediately they give up the thing that brought them the success, right? Because now they're just concerned with enjoying the results. But a spiritual person acting spiritually for Krishna in the world, they're concerned with their service. And if they get a nice result, they consider that this result belongs to Krishna. It's not for me to enjoy. So therefore, they can happily give the result to Krishna and continue with their work, their service. Yes, Mataji? If we're enjoying it, doesn't Krishna enjoy with us?
Like if you work hard and you want to enjoy something, then as you're enjoying it, isn't Krishna enjoying it?
So we enjoy only with, devotee thinks that my enjoyment is only from Krishna. If I enjoy anything, it is only from Krishna. So that's called prasadam, right? The Lord's mercy. I am not... if the devotee experiences some enjoyment in the course of performing their service, they think this is Krishna's mercy. He's allowing me to enjoy, but we don't get carried away by that, right? We don't get. And by the same token, if as a result of performing my work or my service, I don't enjoy, or there's some inconvenience, some difficulty, some suffering, the devotee is also thinking, this is Krishna's mercy. Right? Krishna is purifying me. Right? Krishna wants me to learn something. Krishna wants me to develop tolerance, determination, all these things. So whether the devotee gets difficulty or pleasure, she thinks this is Krishna's mercy. But he doesn't want his pleasure from any source except Krishna. If Krishna decides to give me happiness, I'll accept it. If he wants it, I'll accept it. And if he doesn't want, that's all right. But I won't accept it unless Krishna gives it. I won't accept it unless Krishna approves it, unless he sanctions it.
Everything we get is because Krishna sanctioned it, isn't it? Whether it be negative or positive.
Yes. He definitely sanctions. But then the thing is, what comes to us, how are we going to use it? Yeah? Nice example is Sudama Vipra, Krishna's friend. We know this story, right? He was very poor. And his wife was disturbed. Not least because, she was concerned for her husband and thought that he was suffering. So she asked him to go to the Lord, who is his friend. And she thought, certainly Krishna will help you in your impoverished condition. So just to please her, he went. He didn't think, oh yeah, you're right. If I go to Krishna, then I'm gonna get something good, right? I'll walk out of here with a win. No, he thought, okay, to please my wife, to keep her happy, yeah, because she's asked, I'll go. Yeah, I'll go and visit, and it'll be a great opportunity to see my friend. Yeah, he wasn't thinking I'm going to get something. He was thinking I can go and see my friend. So when he went there, the Lord received him and worshipped him as, according to his Brahminical status. And when he left the next day, it didn't appear that he had received anything, right? But when he arrived home, he saw that his native place had been, right, completely transformed. Where his old rundown homestead was, there was now a great palace that rivaled the King of Heaven. His wife was gorgeously dressed and decorated So many other denizens of that place were walking around, looking magnificent. He entered the palace, and he began to think, how is this possible? How is it possible? And he concluded, this just simply is the grace and the gift of my dear friend Krishna. Who does not always give such gifts into the hands of his devotees, if he thinks that such gifts will be detrimental to one's consciousness. But when the devotee is mature, sober, and understands things in their proper position, then the Lord is happy to give, because he knows he can trust that devotee. The devotee won't get carried away. So Sudama suddenly has all this wealth. What did he go, yippee, payday, let's have a party, and get up to, right? Let's get up to every nefarious activity we could because we've got all this money now. No. He thought, this is the mercy of Lord Krishna. Let me engage all of it in his service. He accepted all of it as the Lord's prasadam. So he's prepared to accept the opulence. It's not that, what's this? I've now got a palace. I don't want it. I can't accept it. I'm a renouncer. Yeah? Can't enjoy this palace. I'm going to sleep in the hut, right? With the hole in the roof and the water coming in, right? I'm not going near that palace. No, he didn't think like that. He thought, Krishna has given me this palace. I'm going to exist in it and engage every square inch of it in glorifying the Lord. Is that okay? We better get on to the verse, huh? All right. Okay, very quickly. So acting in a devotional mood with freedom from the desire for sense gratification uncovers the spiritual nature. In this way, acts of sacrifice connect one with transcendence. Okay, so we're talking about sacrifice. Sacrifice connects us with transcendence. The problem is the opposite of sacrifice. What's that? Hedonism. Sense gratification, narrow sense gratification. That's the problem. That narrow sense gratification simply reinforces the idea that I am the enjoyer, I am the center, everything is meant for me. But sacrifice means you cultivate the consciousness that I am not the beneficiary, I am not the center. By offering my work, my mind, my body, my words, by offering it, right, for the greater good, then I can cultivate the consciousness of servant, part of the whole. And that is proper consciousness. Right, so sacrifice uncovers one's spiritual nature. Maya, or illusion, is that which covers spirit. The desire for sense gratification invokes that illusion. Right? We make ourselves the center of enjoyment. And detachment from sense gratification dissolves Maya and thus reveals spirit. So if I'm not concerned with my own immediate have to get, have to enjoy, if that's not my focus, and rather I'm concerned with how to get for Krishna, how to see to Krishna's enjoyment, how to please Krishna, then that generates knowledge. So if I'm engaged in activities of sacrifice, then knowledge comes. Right? Causeless knowledge and detachment, Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. If we engage in Bhakti Yoga, right, we spend some time sacrificing our energy to hear about Krishna, to chant His holy names on our japa beads, right, to perform some menial service in the temple, to work hard all day, and then take some of the paycheck and give it to Radha Gokulananda. Right? These are all acts of sacrifice. and they all purify the consciousness and increase our knowledge, real knowledge. Constitutionally, everyone and everything is meant for the pleasure and enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it is not possible to fulfill a desire for personal enjoyment separate from God. Because everyone and everything, including me, is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. Right? People don't like it, that's why they're not coming here. They don't like the idea that I exist for God's enjoyment. Everyone's running around like crazy, trying to exist for their own enjoyment and forget God. Yeah? But to afford the living entities with a sense of satisfaction, Krishna allows them to have the illusion that things are separate from the Lord and thus available for their own enjoyment. So Krishna gives this place of illusion so that we can imagine that we are the center of enjoyment. When one sacrifices, he compromises his enjoying spirit and thus uncovers Brahman. Yes? You do something for the other. Everyone appreciates that. Oh, look at the sacrifice they made. Look how much money they gave in charity. Right? He sacrificed his life to save that cat. Yeah? And then, there's a throng of people following the coffin. Right? Because of the great sacrifice the person made. Everyone appreciates sacrifice. Because it is for the benefit of something other than oneself and one's bodily senses. And who is the ultimate right beneficiary of sacrifice? It is the complete whole. Not just one limb, not just one cat, yeah? Not just one charity. It is the complete whole. What is the complete whole? The complete whole is the complete personality of Godhead, Krishna. So if we make some sacrifice for Krishna, then that is the greatest appreciation. So, from text 25 to 33, the theme is that sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. Having explained that sacrifice uncovers Brahman or spirit, Krishna now lists different types of sacrifice. There are different sacrifices prescribed according to one's level of realization. Right? And these sacrifices elevate the consciousness toward transcendental knowledge. So some people maybe aren't able to just sacrifice their identity, the things they enjoy, the kind of work they like, their clothes, their house, their car. They can't just give it all up and sit under a tree and chant Hare Krishna. Yeah? If that was the only sacrifice available for purification, then, a lot of people wouldn't get too far. So the Vedas prescribe various sacrifices to, help us in the right direction, to get us there. So today's verse is 428. I felt that this preamble was necessary. We want to understand things in a broad context. Okay. So text 28. The Lord says, Dravya yajnastapo yajna, yoga yajnastatapare, svadhyaya jnana yajnascha, yataya samshita vrta. Okay. So we'll read the English. There are others. Okay, so the Lord has already described different kinds of sacrifice. Yes? He says that some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them. And some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. So some sacrifice for the pleasure of demigods, and others sacrifice for the pleasure of the Absolute Supreme. Some sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of the controlled mind. Yeah? So it's a sacrifice to actually sit down and concentrate and listen. That's a sacrifice. To control your senses in the fire of the controlled mind. To not run after the demands of the senses, but to attempt to control them. That's a sacrifice. And others sacrifice the objects of the senses, such as sound, in the fire of sacrifice. Anything that we have to deal with, work with, anything that comes our way through our senses, these are all objects, right? And if those objects are connected to the Lord and His service and His prescriptions in the Vedas, then they can become sacrifice. Those who are interested in self-realization in terms of mind and sense control offer the functions of all the senses, as well as the vital force, the breath, as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Right, so he's specifically indicating yogis, right, who restrain their active senses, who control themselves, who don't allow their senses to just go anywhere and everywhere. That's sacrifice. So then, text 28, the Lord says, there are others who, enlightened by sacrificing their material possessions in severe austerities, take strict vows and practice the yoga of eightfold mysticism. Okay, their sacrifice is specifically of material possessions. They perform severe austerities, giving up so many things, including sleep, food, drink, right? Giving up these things. They take strict vows and they practice the yoga of eightfold mysticism, Ashtanga yoga. And others study the Vedas for the advancement of transcendental knowledge. That's a sacrifice, to study the Vedas. Okay, purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. These sacrifices may be fitted into various divisions. There are persons who are sacrificing their possessions in the form of various kinds of charities. Yeah? Obvious, right? You give something that you consider belongs to you, and you give it away to someone else who you consider needs it more. In India, the rich mercantile community or princely orders open various kinds of charitable institutions like Dharmashala, Anakshetra, Atitishala, Anatalaya, Vidyapita, etc. In other countries too, there are many hospitals, old age homes, and similar charitable foundations meant for distributing food, education, and medical treatment free to the poor. All these charitable activities are called Dravya Maya Yagya, right? Giving away dravya in sacrifice. Okay? I could enjoy it for myself. Yeah, I could buy a private jet. I could go on holiday to, for a year. But instead, I'm going to give all of it to these, needy people. Dravya Maya Yagya. There are others who, for a higher elevation in life, or for promotion to higher planets within the universe, voluntarily accept many kinds of austerities, such as Chandrayana and Chaturmasya. These processes entail severe vows for conducting life under certain rigid rules. For example, under the Chaturmasya vow, the candidate does not shave for 4 months during the year, July to October. Okay? Not shaving. So that's not a problem for some people. Yeah? He does not eat certain foods. Yeah, they can't do this. Does not eat twice in a day, and does not leave home. All right? These are austerities and sacrifice. Such sacrifice of the comforts of life is called tapomaya yagya. Right? I'm sacrificing comforts voluntarily. There are still others who engage themselves in different kinds of mystic yogas, like the Patanjali system, for merging into the existence of the Absolute. Or Hatha Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga for particular perfections. All right, so far we've got Dravya Maya Yagya, right? Giving away things to others. We've got Tapomaya Yagya, accepting voluntary austerities. And we've also got the sacrifices entailed in the Ashtanga Yoga system. Yeah, eightfold process of controlling the senses and the mind, with the goal of meeting the Supersoul in the heart. These are all sacrifices. And some travel to all the sanctified places of pilgrimage. All these practices are called yoga, yagya. Yoga yagya, sacrifice for a certain type of perfection in the material world. There are others who engage themselves in the studies of different Vedic literatures, specifically the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutras, or the Sankhya philosophy. All of these are called svadhyaya yagya, or engagement in the sacrifice of studies. All these yogis are faithfully engaged in different types of sacrifice and are seeking a higher status of life. Okay, so this is the purpose of all of it. A higher status of life. I'm going to give something up. I'm going to restrict myself, control myself, for the sake of a higher standard of life. Krishna consciousness is, however, different from these because it is the direct service of the Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness cannot be attained by any one of the above-mentioned types of sacrifices, but can be attained only by the mercy of the Lord and his bona fide devotee. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is transcendental. All of these different kinds of restriction, sacrifice, controlling oneself, giving something up, they're either for one's own selfish purpose, right, in which case they become karma, or they can be done if they help in one's execution of devotional service, in which case they are akarma, spiritual. So you cannot get Krishna consciousness by all of these different Dravyamaya Yagya, Tapamaya Yagya, different Ashtanga Yoga processes for one's own purpose, all right, or by study, by independent study for one's own purpose. You cannot get Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness can only be attained by the mercy of the Lord and his bona fide devotee. But either way, all of these sacrifices are considered to be pointing one in the right direction. One learns the principle of giving something up for a higher purpose. And the ultimate higher purpose, highest purpose, is the satisfaction of the complete whole, the source of everything, Lord Sri Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody. And now it is time for Arati. If anyone has any questions on the class, you can catch me after. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai.